us laugh in the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents would send you to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, give me a fifth of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm two. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes. And your neighbors be going, that's a good little boy right there.
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs. Because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You got to go to child support court. You got to get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going into court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Sean. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh the pain away.
Blackness. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Blackness. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Blackness. Never say die. Never say die. Keep on. Never say die. Blackness. Never say die. All of this.
In the midst of sorrow, you can see up and down. A brighter day tomorrow will bring. Oh, you hear the voice of reason telling you this can never be done. No matter how hard reality seems, just hold on to your dreams, yeah.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. Nice and warm here on the left coast, but thinking about all my peeps on the East Coast and in the Midwest that are having to navigate the severe weather, the extreme weather. I'm hearing reports of snow up to people's waist. Yikes. In certain places. And so everyone just make sure you be safe out there. I'm in touch. And so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. And there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also be sure to download the KBLA app. That way you can listen to us live or on demand, or if you're feeling froggy, you can just tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are. There we are. We pop right on up for your listening pleasure. I just want to remind folks there are so many organized actions that are taking place across the country. This Friday, January 30th, there will be a nationwide shutdown. That's this Friday, January 30th. Organizers are saying no work, no school, no shopping, ice out everywhere. Folks who understand that we each have power. Folks who understand that what is happening is not normal and that we cannot sit idly by, and that we have to come together, and that more importantly, we're all we got. And so this is a general strike that is taking place here across the United States this Friday, January 30th. And so, go and prosper, go forth and prosper. There are also opportunities for people to get organized. There are what are called Ice Out Los Angeles volunteer meetings that are taking place. Speaking of this Friday, there's one taking place in Echo Park at 7 p.m. At Temple Grounds, located at 1650 West Temple Street. This Saturday in El Monte, Saturday, January 31st at 11 a.m. At the Montahia Lending Library at 3571 Lexington Avenue. On Sunday at Yia Cafe at 3557 East 3rd Street. That's in East LA this Sunday, February 1st at 11 a.m. And then also on Sunday, a little bit later in the day in Long Beach at 2 p.m. at Toxic Toast Records, located at 757 Pine Avenue. These are all the organizing efforts that are happening here in Los Angeles, but there are organizing efforts happening across the country. And so we want to encourage folks to tap in where you fit in. All right. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, the Washington Post is reporting that a judge has ruled that Virginia Democrats violated the law with the redistricting amendment. Yes. Oh my gosh. All this redistricting madness. It's so touch and go state by state. But in Virginia, a circuit court judge in rural Tazewell County has ruled against the redistricting efforts started by Virginia Democrats, declaring today that the process that they used to create a proposed constitutional amendment is invalid. Democrats immediately pledged to appeal and said that they expect a referendum on the matter to go ahead this spring as planned. In their own joint statement, two of the Republican leaders who brought the lawsuit, Senator Ryan T. McDougal of Hanover and Delegate Terry G. Kilgore of Scott, saying that it was about process, fairness, and the simple principle that you cannot change the Constitution by ignoring the Constitution. The court made clear that election matters, notice matters, and the rules apply to everyone, even those in power. And so we'll see how things shake out in Virginia. In other news, NBC News is reporting that the FBI is investigating Minnesota signal chats tracking ICE. That's what FBI Director Kash Patel has said. He said this on Monday, that he had opened an investigation into the Signal group text chat that Minnesota residents are using to share information about federal immigration agents' movements, launching a new front in the Trump administration's conflict there with potential free speech implications. Patel said in an interview with conservative podcaster Benny Johnson that he wanted to know whether any Minnesota resident had put federal agents, quotes, in harm's way with activities such as sharing agents' license plate numbers and locations, saying, quotes, you cannot create a scenario that illegally entraps and puts law enforcement in harm's way. That's what he said in this interview. Last time I checked, there was no law against being a part of a private chat and sharing information about law enforcement's whereabouts. I mean, when's the last time you used the Waze app on your phone? I've used the Waze app on my phone, especially when you're driving long distances. And the Waze app will tell you where police are positioned. Is that against the law? So how's it any different from what folks are doing in the Signal chat? It's giving, do as we say, not as we do. And that is just not going to work. And that's why people are in the streets, including folks in places like Minneapolis and Chicago. Hat tip to the leaders, learners, and listeners out there, the activists out there that are braving sub-zero temperatures to defend our freedom, to defend our First Amendment rights, to defend the idea of America. When we come forward, I'm delighted to welcome back to the show More Perfect Union International Affairs contributor Desiree Cormier-Smith. We're going to talk about that U.S. federal judge that blocked the deportation of the 5-year-old boy and his father that we mentioned briefly in our first hour. Plus, we'll get her take on the immigration crackdown that's leading to a drop in population growth. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Desiree Cormier-Smith.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait. And don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey and delighted to welcome back to the show Desiree Cormier-Smith. She is co-president and co-founder of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. She's a former special representative for racial justice and diplomacy at the U.S. State Department. And she is our very special international affairs contributor here on A More Perfect Union. Welcome back to the show, Desiree.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. So many headlines swirling in the news, but I really want to start with this 5-year-old boy. I don't know about you, but I saw a number of social media posts and reposts of this illustration of this 5-year-old boy. I think this photo is going to stand the test of time. This little 5-year-old boy with this little, blue beanie on and his backpack, standing looking so scared and uncertain at the rear of the car that him and his dad were riding in. The Guardian reporting that a federal judge today ruled that this 5-year-old Minnesota boy and his father cannot be immediately deported 1 week after their arrest sparked this international outrage. The Texas judge issued the order saying that Liam Ramos, the preschooler, and his father, Adrian Conejo Arias, cannot be removed or transferred out of the judicial district where they're being held while litigation challenging their detention proceeds. A 5-year-old kid. I know you're the mom of some youngsters.
Yeah, I have a 1-year-old.
Talk to us about how you're processing this as a mom, as a human rights advocate and activist, and as someone that recognizes what signal this sends to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking, right? You can't see that photo of that child, the young boy, and not be moved. It reminds me of the words of James Baldwin, that the children are always ours, right? And we should judge a society on how they treat their children. And I'm glad that the judge weighed in on this and prevented the unlawful deportation of Liam and his father, who were here lawfully, right? But I also hope that this moves people to continue to speak out and stand up for what ICE is doing in our country. What they are doing in this country is not going after criminals. They're not going after people who are here illegally. They are going after anyone who is not white. And I remember months ago when you and I were talking, and we talked about how wrong it was for some Black people to say this is not our issue, because we knew it would come for us. You remember that?
I remember that. My glasses almost fell off.
I know. And even back then, I'm pretty sure I said, even if you feel like this doesn't directly affect you, this should affect your humanity, right? Your sense of what is right and wrong. And we shouldn't have to wait till it comes to our door, till they start stopping people who they think are Somali or Haitian or name your other ethnicity, right? And the Supreme Court said that that's okay now. So I hope that this galvanizes every person to stand out. And I hope it also galvanizes white mothers. Because, for so long, they've been complicit in this.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're really putting, your finger on the nose of this, that it's just a matter of time until what's happening in Minneapolis visits us on our doorstep, right? And you got to ask yourself, what is this experience here to teach us all? What is this experience here to teach the world, right? And I think at least one of the lessons that is available to all of us is a lesson around compassion and empathy, right? That you shouldn't vote for someone to do things to keep other people in line and expect that none of that will impact you. And this is a part of the reality that I think we are living. It's also worth noting that the father and son were quickly transferred out of Minnesota last week, and they're taken to the Dilley Immigration Processing Center in Texas, a facility that holds families with children and has been the subject of protests and complaints about conditions. And so, my God, it's terrible enough that adults are not getting the due process that they should be afforded when they're taken into custody. But this administration has already shipped this father and son from Minnesota to Texas, to a facility that has been the subject of protests and complaints about conditions. I'd like to think that we have more couth, we have more standards, more practices in place for foster kids than we do the children of folks who are being accused of being illegal and are being taken into custody.
They are rounding up people so haphazardly that they are not able to deport them fast enough. And so you see the expansion of these massive detention centers. And like you've said, we've heard credible accounts of mistreatment there, of awful, unlivable conditions, and things that violate the most basic of human rights. And yet they're continuing to expand. And you know who's paying for it? Our tax dollars. This is all, let us not forget, this is all being done in our name with our money.
Terrible. And we're all going to pay a price for it. We're already paying a price. NPR reporting on a crackdown on how a crackdown on immigration is leading to a sharp drop in U.S. population growth. The U.S. population growth slowed sharply last year due to a steep drop in immigration. An annual estimate from the Census Bureau just this past Tuesday shows that the nation's population grew by just 1.8 million people during the 12 months ending last June. That's about half the growth rate of the previous year. And a major factor behind that slowing growth was the foreign-born population, which grew by 1.3 million during the year, a 52% smaller increase than the previous 12 months. That drop, it results from fewer people entering the country through legal channels, as well as voluntary or forced departure of some living in the country illegally. You and I have talked at length about white replacement theory and how there are folks out there that believe that there are too many Black and brown and Asian non-white people running around these United States, and they are hell-bent on turning that around, on setting us back and making this a majority white nation well into the future. This decline in population growth is not by accident, Desiree.
No, and that's the irony of the Great Replacement conspiracy theorists. That's the whole irony of their belief and their efforts, is that this makes them happy that there are fewer foreign-born or children or people of color having kids, right? But they also don't mind the economic impact it will have on them. Right? It's like the same as the racist folks in the South during Jim Crow that would rather pour concrete in the swimming pool than let little Black kids swim in it. So, they are willing to hurt themselves as long as they hurt Black people and other non-white people more. And it will be the detriment of this country if they continue.
Yeah. It will be, and it already is. I mean, we're already feeling it. And let's talk about just sort of the impacts of folks from the African diaspora. I've shared on the show a number of times that my father immigrated to the United States from Ghana on a student visa back in 1970. And I can't help but think about the young people that are out there now that have immigrated to the United States on a student visa from around the world, particularly the African diaspora.
Yeah, and have contributed so much to this country and love this country and have, become incredible citizens of this country, incredible public servants, entrepreneurs, inventors. Like, we have benefited so much from this. Yet racists cannot see past that. They can't see past their own racism to acknowledge that we are better off with immigration, right? And I can't help but to think of, the loudest white supremacist with a platform right now, who is Elon Musk, stoking these great replacement conspiracy theories by talking about South Africa during the days of apartheid as like this utopia, and then post-apartheid when there was a true multiracial democracy is like the end of the world, and warning people that that's what will happen when white people become the minority. I think that's why this administration has such an animus towards South Africa, because it contradicts their worst fear, right? In their minds, they believe that being a minority is the worst thing. It'll lead to a white genocide. And that's why they continue to perpetuate this lie that there's a genocide of white people in South Africa, despite the reality that there isn't. South Africa is not perfect, but it is a multiracial democracy. Yeah. Even in the white people who are living there are actually doing quite well, despite being a minority.
We're going to pick up on that when we come forward. Plus, first wrongful death lawsuit filed against the Trump administration over these drug boat strikes. They were filed by us. We'll explain when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIA News Now. 3 Democrats running to replace retiring Senator Dick Durbin clashed in a University of Chicago debate over who would take on President Trump. Black Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton called for abolishing ICE and labeled Representatives Raja Krishnamurthy and Robin Kelly as status quo Democrats.
We are looking at what's happening, and it doesn't matter whose ICE it is.
None endorsed Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's 2027 reelection. Families of 2 Trinidadian men killed in a U.S. military boat strike have filed a federal wrongful death lawsuit against the Trump administration, claiming the men were civilians and the attack was unlawful. The families are seeking damages and a court review. And composer Philip Glass has pulled his new symphony Lincoln from the Trump Kennedy Center, saying the venue's current values conflict with the work's message. Glass joins several other artists, including Issa Rae and Renee Fleming, who have withdrawn from the schedule. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Anaheim is slow on the 91 eastbound. We're seeing delays away from Kramer Bussell as you continue ahead all the way to Green River. Also slow is the toll road 241 northbound from about a mile before the Windy Ridge Toll Plaza all the way to the 91 freeway. And we're looking at Corona, southbound side of the 15, loading up from the 91 ahead to Wyrick Road, loading up in Rubidoux on that 60 eastbound away from Rubidoux Boulevard. Delays continue all the way into Moreno Valley. It finally opens up once you pass Heacock Street.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
At the end of the regular season, 10 NFL teams were looking for a head coach. 7 of those teams have hired a new head coach, but none of the openings went to an African-American. Cleveland, Arizona, and the Las Vegas Raiders are the last remaining teams still interviewing candidates. It would not be a good look for the NFL, which preaches diversity, to have 10 openings for a head coach, and none of those jobs are filled by an African-American. At the moment, only 3 of the NFL's 32 teams have an African-American head coach. Aaron Glenn with the New York Jets, Todd Bowles with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and D'Amico Ryan with the Houston Texans. The odds makers in Vegas list Seattle as a 4.5-point favorite over New England in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 60 is scheduled for February 8th in Santa Clara, the home stadium of the San Francisco 49ers. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, KBLA delegation, you know what's better than laughing? Laughing while celebrating the legends who made us laugh in the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents were seen to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, give me a fifth of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm two. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes, and your neighbors be going, "That's a good little boy right there."
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs, because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You gotta go to child support court. You gotta get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going in the court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Sean. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh the pain away.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me.
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host, and really delighted to be in conversation with Desiree Cormier-Smith. She is co-president and co-founder of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. She is also our resident international affairs contributor. And while we have plenty of news to get to related to the international front, there's some breaking news that's coming in. NBC News is reporting that a man has lunged at Representative Ilhan Omar during a town hall, trying to spray her with an unknown substance. Again, NBC News reporting that a man at a Minneapolis town hall hosted by Representative Omar confronted her tonight and appeared to try to spray her with a substance before he was removed from the venue. Omar, who has faced a barrage of nearly daily attacks from President Trump, had called for ICE to be abolished and for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to resign or face impeachment moments before the man lunged towards her. The man walked down the middle of the room and appeared to spray a liquid at Omar before a security guard restrained him. A person was then heard saying, quotes, "Oh my God, he sprayed something on her," adding that the substance smelled bad. Security and local leaders who had spoken earlier at the event urged Omar to leave the room and get checked. And she said that is what they want. We will continue, she said. These F a-holes are not going to get away with this. The man was then removed from the room. And so very tense moment, a tense situation again in Minneapolis, as there are reports from NBC News that a man has lunged at Representative Ilhan Omar during a town hall and tried to spray her with an unknown substance. Desiree, what's your reaction to this?
Well, first, I hope she's okay. And second, this is awful. This is awful, and this is what so many people feared would happen, because this president and the people around him have stoked these racist lies about Somali Americans and have had a particular focus on Representative Ilhan Omar. The president himself, right, seemed obsessed with her. She said it herself. It's unhealthy the way he's obsessed with her. And I think she probably feared, and many of us feared, that it would lead to some harm coming her way. And I really hope and pray that she's okay. And I hope, maybe this is misplaced hope, but got to continue to hope that the president tones down his dangerous, racist, violent rhetoric. We've seen this, unfortunately, happen too much.
And it does not end well, you know,
No.
and we already know the tensions are high in Minneapolis and so many other communities across the country. And at a time where folks should be calling for calm, as you mentioned, you know, we're seeing antagonistic behavior like this taking place. I mean, you know, Desiree, we're not that old. We remember what happened to Gabby Giffords, a member of Congress in Arizona, who was shot in the head in a grocery store parking lot.
Yeah.
Right? It's not far-fetched to understand what happens when people decide to take the lives of our public servants into their own hands. If you agree or disagree with an elected, that's fine. Let's debate that, right? But when it turns physical, when it's about intimidating, when it's about, you know, seeking to create harm, you know, that should be something that has no safe harbor. That should be a posture that has no safe harbor, no matter what party you're a part of. But when folks pave their way into power, when people make their way into power, really sort of playing on some of the worst impulses that folks have, on some level, it's no surprise that you have folks who act like this during a community town hall.
Yeah, I mean, it is really unfortunate, and it's really dangerous. And we actually don't even have to look that far back to the unfortunate, tragic situation with Gabby Giffords. We could just look to last year with State Senator Melissa Hortman and her husband, who were killed in cold blood. Right?
And where did that happen? Minnesota.
In Minnesota. And the president did not change his rhetoric. He didn't even have the decency to go to their funeral. So, you know, he has never proven himself a decent man. So that's why I say maybe the hope is misplaced, but I have to continue to hope that he will maybe one day rise to some level of decency that is appropriate for the office in which he holds.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue to keep you updated on that story as things develop. But moving on to some other very important matters in the news, NBC also reporting that the first wrongful death lawsuit has been filed against the Trump administration over these drug boat strikes. Family members of two Trinidadian men who were killed in a U.S. strike on an alleged, operative word, alleged drug smuggled boat in October, they have sued the United States government, accusing it of wrongful death and extrajudicial killings. The lawsuit is the first of its kind to be filed against the Trump administration in federal court over the military campaign against alleged drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific Ocean. Desiree, I think that it is really important for our audience that we zoom in on the fact that these are alleged drug smugglers. They have not had any due process.
Right.
They were not convicted of anything, right? They are alleged to be drug smugglers. And, we can't look at the shoot first, ask questions later approach of some of the ICE agents in recent days, whether you're talking about the ICE agent, the federal agent behind the killing of Alex Preddy, or the federal agent that was behind the killing of Renee Good. You can't look at that in isolation, right? There's a shoot first, ask questions later approach and posture that is also governing the work of the U.S. military in the Caribbean, no?
That's right. This seems to be this administration's modus operandi, right? That this is their MO. They don't care about due process. And many of my colleagues in civil society were raising the alarms when they attacked when they bombed these first boats off the coast of Venezuela early, basically saying this is a clear violation of international and domestic law because these are extrajudicial killings, right? And I think the sister of one of the victims summed it up really, really well when she basically said, if the U.S. government believed he had done anything wrong, it should have arrested, charged, and detained him, not murder him. That is the crux of it. That is the premise of due process. And that is what this administration is violating every day throughout every agency. We see it in the boats, in bombing the boats off Venezuela, and then like broadcasting the videos as if they were video games, right? Almost gleefully celebrating the death of human beings that, again, were alleged drug traffickers, but had no due process. It's what we see in Minnesota and Minneapolis and cities around the country where ICE agents are detaining people, even American citizens, without any due process. And again, maybe asking questions later, maybe after they're already been deported to a whole nother state. And we're seeing this throughout this administration's action. So it should really ring alarm bells to all of us, because again, this is the democracy. This is being done in our name.
And just to add another layer to this, talk to us about the significance of these being Black bodies. These were Black bodies that were killed. There are Black bodies that the United States is preparing to mass deport back to Haiti as the temporary protective status of Haitians comes to an end within the next week. And so talk to us about the significance of this being the first wrongful death lawsuit filed against the Trump administration over these drug boat strikes, and the fact that these Black families are declaring to this administration and to the world that these Black lives mattered.
Yeah.
And that these allegations were unfounded.
That's right.
And that the U.S. government was wrong to shoot first, ask questions later.
Not even ask questions, right? like not even ask questions, just shoot and kill. And that's it. That's it. And so, these families, despite their pain and their mourning and their suffering, should be commended for their bravery, because it takes courage to stand up to the U.S. government, especially if you're not an American, right? Think about the power dynamic here. These two families who relied on these two men who were fishermen, worked in construction, right? Very modest professions. But now that support is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them to not just take it in silence and grieve and be stuck in their grief, but to say, no, this was wrong and there must be accountability, I think is incredibly powerful and should be a lesson to all of us, especially those who are feeling scared about speaking up now, right? If they can do it, you can absolutely do it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And speaking of speaking up, the Guardian reporting that Mexico's president says that the cancellation of oil shipments to Cuba is a sovereign decision. Mexico has canceled a shipment of oil to Cuba, and the country's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, appeared to confirm today, but she insisted the decision was quote unquote sovereign and that it was not a response to pressure from the United States. Desiree, do you buy what the president of Mexico is saying? Or do you think that this is her way of signaling to the Trump administration that she is willing to play ball at least a little bit?
I can't speak for the president of Mexico or her team, but I will say she's in a tough situation, right? This president has proven that he is willing to act erratically. He specifically named Mexico after his military went in and captured the head of state of Venezuela. So do you think that's not weighing in the Mexican president's mind? I'm sure it is. And so, she's got a lot of demands and competing interests to weigh. I don't envy her. And I think we've got to understand that people are working with complex issues, but I also hope that she does not allow herself or her country to be bullied by Donald Trump. And I think she has done a good job in particular of standing up to him. I think he was probably surprised that she stood up to him previously, because we know that this is a sexist president. He doesn't talk to women the same way that he talks about men or talks to men. So good on her for standing up. She is Mexico's first woman president. She is the first woman president in North America. She's got a heavy load to carry.
She's got a very heavy load to carry. It's worth noting that fuel shortages are causing increasingly severe blackouts in Cuba. Mexico's been the island's biggest oil supplier since the U.S. blocked shipments from Venezuela. And so this is also another domino that is falling in favor of U.S. foreign policy under Donald Trump. They are trying to put the squeeze on Cuba. They've said to Cuba, you ain't getting this Venezuelan oil. And then the next in line as an oil producer, Mexico. I would say, Mexico, you can't send it either. And so, are we watching regime change in Cuba in real time?
I don't know if we're watching regime change in Cuba in real time, but I do know that Marco Rubio has had Cuba in his sights for a long time. And I know there's a lot of his former constituents down in Florida that have been hoping and calling on this administration to pursue regime change in Cuba. And I hope that those voices don't win, because we should not be in the business of trying to rule other countries, trying to determine what is best for those countries, right? That determination lies with the people alone. And it's a tricky one, because the Cuban regime is a repressive regime. And it would be dishonest to not say that. In the same way that Maduro was a repressive leader of Venezuela. Does that give the United States the right, the authority to go in and remove a sitting head of state? No. So, these are complex issues. And I've had to learn to listen to the people there, right? To hear it from Venezuelan human rights activists and advocates and people who said, this is a really complex time for us. We take no joy in having the U.S. invade our country and remove our president, but we also do celebrate the fact that Maduro is gone because of how awful he was. So we have to acknowledge that both things can be true, right?
Yeah.
Like, they could be relieved that he's not there, but also they don't want the U.S., going around and just going into every country that they don't agree with.
That's right.
So
That's
we
right.
have to be able to hold both truths.
That's right. And also undermines, our work in other parts of the world, whether you're talking about trying to broker peace with Ukraine, or whether we're trying to keep China at bay from trying to take over Taiwan. But this could be very destabilizing around the world. Again, we know that there are dictators there that are repressive, but the means by which there's a change in that leadership, when you do it and it's divorced from the will of the people,
that's right.
We create more problems than we solve.
That's right.
When we come forward in our final moments, Melania Trump making a big statement about unity today. We'll get Desiree Cormier-Smith's reaction to that when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
USC Visions and Voices invites you to the LA premiere of Major, an exciting new dance theater performance exploring the legacy of Major at dance. Directed by award-winning choreographer Ogemdi Ude, Major combines music and movement to explore what it means to be proudly Black and proudly femme. Join us on Wednesday, February 4th at USC's Bovard Auditorium. Reserve your free ticket now at visionsandvoices.usc.edu. That's visionsandvoices.usc.edu. Still battling a thirsty lawn that guzzles water and drains your wallet? Let LADWP turn that patch of grass into a gorgeous, drought-smart garden for free. We're talking a full California-friendly landscape makeover designed and installed by pros at no cost to you. That's right, LADWP does the work, you get the upgrade. Ready to transform your yard and save big? Visit ladwp.com/leap. That's ladwp.com/LEAP.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's do this. On the evening of Monday, January 26th, something special happened. Hundreds of people joined me for a live preview session on the anatomy of a great conversation, and we went deep, for starters, on the notion of curiosity. I mean, real curiosity. The kind that transforms how you connect with anyone, anywhere. We explored why most conversations fall flat, and I revealed 3 of the top 5 killers of curiosity that sabotage even the best communicators. But here's the thing, we only scratched the surface. The full 4-week journey begins Monday, February 16th with the founding members cohort. This course is for podcasters, leaders, entrepreneurs, anyone who knows that your next great opportunity can begin or end with the quality of a conversation. Space in this founding cohort is limited, so go to TavishTalks.com right now. That's TavishTalks.com. Click register or scan the QR code. Don't let this conversation happen without you.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you. Working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580 in our remaining minutes with Desiree Cormier-Smith, our resident international affairs contributor. Talk to us about this global gag rule, the U.S. government's new promoting human flourishing and foreign assistance policy. It entrenches discrimination against the world's most vulnerable. For people who are less familiar, tell us all about it.
Yeah, thank you for asking. This has, this administration on Friday announced a new expansion of this. So traditionally, the global gag rule prohibits any U.S. foreign assistance to be used for abortion services overseas. Okay. We're used to Republican administrations doing that. This is new. This is different, and it is more sinister, and it is broader. You know why? Because they are now saying that no foreign government, no foreign NGO, no U.S. NGO operating overseas, and no international organization can have any U.S. foreign assistance, not only if they provide abortion, but also if they promote diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Well, we're going to have to pick up on that the next time you are back here. But it's just another reason why folks say shut it down. Shut it down.
And it's just another example of how this administration is trying to export their domestic culture wars.
That's right. That's right. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to Desiree Cormier-Smith, the co-founder and co-president of the Alliance for Democracy and for Diplomacy and Justice, rather. And my thanks to the entire Village helps us produce a more perfect union. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, brother Andy, to our show producers, Art and Faraji, and of course to each and every one of you, our leaders, learners, and listeners. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Remember, don't panic, organize, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, don't just sit there on your hands, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you.
Maryland's U.S. senators are pressing ICE for answers after video showed detainees crowded on the floor of a Baltimore facility.